right to the police and they testify. And all these niggas is instigating in the chats. It's gonna be the main ones making videos, talking shit, snitching, dry snitching and shit.
Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to Nerds on Culture, Stormybman Reacts, special live stream, hashtag WTF WBDC. In other words, what the F, Warner Brothers DC. We are here this evening based on some news that dropped earlier in the week. And we're talking about DC Warner Brothers rebooting their universe and some of the fare that we've enjoyed that they have shared with us over the past half decade or so may be totally done away with, and their films will be taking a different turn in direction. And all of this comes with changes that occurred with the studio. Warner Brothers is now Warner Brothers Discovery. There's new leadership that have taken hold of things. And their most recent outing, Black Adam, starring The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, gave us an indication that there may be a return of sorts of Henry Cavill's Superman. And so we are here looking over what has happened, what has transpired, what may be on the horizon. Your guess is as good as mine. We just don't know what's in store. The most recent news, which dropped a couple of days ago, was that Patty Jenkins' treatment for a third Wonder Woman film has been rejected and is no longer going to be made. We can blame, at the end of the day, this gentleman right here, Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, who apparently has cornered the market with what they've managed to do over the past decade, fresh out of Marvel Studios, creating an entire connected cinematic universe full of characters from Marvel's anthology of heroes and villains. I don't consider Kevin Feige a villain. In fact, his leadership over at Marvel Studios wasn't even appreciated in the early going. He managed to do some things that at the time was not necessarily considered nor popular. Kevin thought that if you could take the most basic of characters, centered around a broader story that would connect these characters, as the comics do, you could build towards something special over a period of time and deliver blockbuster type culminations. And he was able to successfully prove that, starting with the first Iron Man film, culminating with the Avengers. James Gunn, who was definitely hired by Marvel, was a person who brought something fresh and new to Marvel's cinematic productions with the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Now, recently, Gunn was hired by Warner Brothers DC Discovery. Gunn is being hired in the same type of capacity that Feige works for Marvel Studios and Disney, along with Peter Safran. And the two of them hope to take the opportunity to lead DC down a similar path that Marvel has enjoyed over the past decade. And in doing this, everything that has been a part of what we've known with the DCEU is coming to an end. It is going forward going to be considered DCU, like Marvel Universe, DC Universe. No longer the extended universe. But even more interestingly, these two men will work on providing the DC films with a plan of connecting not only their universe of films, television shows, animations, and video games that will be interacted and connected for the next decade or so, based off of a similar format. So some of what we're familiar with is going to come and go away. There are films on the way like Aquaman, a sequel to the blockbuster, and also The Flash, his own film, but due to his own doing, Ezra Miller has ruined his opportunity to have his own franchise. And this character will be recast based on the personal decisions made by Miller and the law involvement behind his actions. So you can almost consider it being a situation where Warner Brothers DC, they have kind of shot themselves in the foot. Now, even though Aquaman made $1 billion at the theater, there were other films that didn't fare as well, like the second Wonder Woman film, Wonder Woman 84. Though Gal Gadot has been received well as Diana, there's something a little bit missing from what was happening after the success of the first film going forward. And a lot of this has to do with simply the fact that they chose to line these characters up in one film and then branch off and have their own individual films thereafter. So it was kind of like a way of stepping on their stories and also not giving us a chance to learn who these characters are before they came together in the fated Justice League film by Zack Snyder. Now, I understand that Snyder was trying to do something a little bit different. He wasn't trying to copy Marvel's format. And the studio executives really didn't buy into what he was trying to do, nor did they support him in a manner of which they really could have. Extra editing and heavy editing of his films, Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, hurt these films at the cinema and hurt the box office. The Warner Brothers executives really felt like his films either should have been extreme home runs or, with failure, it had to be shut down. What I liked about Snyder's approach was the fact that the tone of his films and even how he had laid them out to be designed, it was different from Marvel, which is okay, because you don't want to always produce what's already out there. You want to give people variety, a little something different. So not buying into what he was doing with support, the studio really hurt itself. Some of the casting was questionable. I mean, when you consider Aquaman, you really don't think about Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Aquaman should have been someone like Ryan Gosling or someone like that. Now, if you're talking about Lobo, Jason Momoa is your guy. But again, this was earlier on, and they were really shooting in the dark, so to speak. Even casting Ben Affleck as Batman was really interesting. Although Affleck in the Batman's costume with his acting gave us something a little bit different that we hadn't seen with so many different Batmans on the screen in the past. We've had Michael Keaton, we had George Clooney, we've had Christian Bale. Ben Affleck's Batman was a dangerous character, struck fear. When I saw Batman vs. Superman, I said to myself, Zack Snyder has always wanted to make a Batman film. That's what I got from it immediately. But lost in all of this was, to me, the most important character of them all. Henry Cavill's Superman. Superman is so important to the universe of DC characters. He's the equivalent of what Spider-Man means in Marvel. Of course, they don't have the same powers, but the impact of storytelling centered around those major characters is similar. That's why Marvel fought so hard to work a deal out with Sony to get Spider-Man and Peter Parker a part of the MCU. It was their way of formulating a connected universe. And in the third Spider-Man film, No Way Home, to bring Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire into the storytelling was an amazing feat. We know of many Spider-Mans throughout the universe, including Miles Morales. And now, as Phase 4 is coming to an end and we're going to see Phase 5, we may see eventually the return of Maguire and Andrew Garfield to further tell stories of Spider-Man from different universes. These people can't get Superman right. Finally, you have a man playing the character that Christopher Reeve owned and audiences seemingly love, Henry Cavill as Superman. And because Man of Steel didn't earn $1 billion, the old regime of Warner Brothers just shelved any consideration for a sequel, possibility of a sequel. And for those that think that Batman vs. Superman is a sequel to Man of Steel, it really isn't. But this is how they've behaved. And now, again, with the hiring of Gunn and company, more changes are going to be made again. What are we going to do? Are we going to sit pat and wait? Hearing the cancellation of a third Wonder Woman film, we don't know if that's the meaning of the ending of Gal Gadot's portrayal of the character, or will they just seek for a different type of story to bring her back? After being told that Henry Cavill is back as Superman, a Man of Steel 2 film has been taken off the table as well. We have the Blue Beetle that's coming sometime next year. But that's not a major character that the average film goer knows about. Gunn and Safran have their work cut out for them. But doing an entire reboot of the universe may not necessarily be what's needed. But you're going to have to keep something familiar to draw the people in. Now, admittedly, Black Adam wasn't as successful as it could have been. Dwayne Johnson, who was hired to be this character, portray this character, well over a decade ago, finally came out with this film this year, and though it didn't make the money it needed to make at the box office to please the executives and to make a profit, it was a fun time at the theater for moviegoers, especially if you like comic book films. But there's a high chance that there will be no Black Adam sequel. And there was talk that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson didn't want Black Adam associated with Shazam, which is a ridiculous demand because the two characters are formed out of the same embryo. I don't know what's going on, people. I want to root for Warner Brothers DC so badly. But they continue to do things that make you question, what the hell is going on here? I don't know. But I'm concerned. And I'm hoping that James Gunn doesn't have such an ego that he's really going to overlook what the audiences really shoot for, what they want to see. DC is not Marvel. It's not. And we know he prepared the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker, which had moderate success. But that's not the Justice League or Superman. Isn't it amazing that they've made so many other films? Batman got another film with Robert Pattinson playing the hero. And it seemingly is like every time they've made no progress, they go back to Batman and make another Batman. They've recast Batman every 8 years or so. It's ridiculous. When Tony Stark performed the snap in Endgame, and his fate after performing the snap, audiences sobbed at his demise. Do you know why that was? Because for 10 years, his character, Tony Stark, in his own trilogy, as well as appearing in other films such as the Captain America, Civil War, the Avengers films, the Spider-Man films. He had developed not only a story arc, but he was an established character that the audience had a feeling for. So the dramatic effect of what happened resonated throughout. Man of Steel was a pretty damn underrated superhero film for the ages. Henry Cavill came off in a way that people received him well. They wanted to see him again. DC Warner Brothers introduced Batman, Wonder Woman, Lex Luthor, and Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman. And Superman was killed in that film. How do you kill Superman after he just arrived on the scene? I remember watching that film in the theater and just holding my head when the credits rolled. I'm like, they freaking killed Superman already? I knew who Doomsday was. I've read the story. That's something that should have come after 5 films or so. But this is what they've done. Wonder Woman's story was told very well. Very well. It kind of gave you feelings of Christopher Reeve's original Superman the movie. And Patty Jenkins, the director of the film, says she kind of relied on Richard Donner's formula for telling the superhero kind of out of place, alien on Earth, Clark Kent. Well, Diana being out of Themyscira and, being Wonder Woman and everything out of place. It was well done. But how do you bring her after you set her in the times of World War I? So where has she been when she pops up in Justice League or when she popped up in Batman versus Superman? How do you explain that the world doesn't even know who Wonder Woman is, but she was around in World War I? You see what I'm saying? Storytelling, people. Now everything appears it's going to get blown up. And some of the people that we like Gal Gadot. We like Henry Cavill. A lot of us really like Ben Affleck as Batman. Now it's going to be blown up. So we got to get adjusted to new people all over again. I don't know what to make of it, people. I really don't. It's just something. And I did a smaller video earlier this week, but I just wanted to come back and talk about this and express, and I know there are channels out here, they cover these films and everything. And I'm not trying to be those guys, because those guys do what they do very well, and salute to all of them. All of them. I'm just a guy who likes these movies. It's an escape for me. I'm almost 60 years old and I watch these films and love them to death. Some are great, some are good, some are kind of, oh my, but I love it all. Just like I love comic books. And I'll need these people to understand that, just as Kevin Feige did. I'm going to go to the chat for a moment. Young Hollywood is out there. He says, I don't know what DC can do at this point. Black Adam should have come out in the summer. They blew it. Jamel 000 said, it's sad to see what's happening with DCEU movies. They need whoever works on the animated movies to have some input because they are amazing. Young Hollywood is saying they let household names get washed away by no names like Ant-Man and Guardians. Young Hollywood, Ant-Man and the Guardians worked because what was already established made you receive them better. It's like they're coming out with Blue Beetle. We don't need Blue Beetle right now. We need Man of Steel Part 2. We need Green Lantern. We need a solid Wonder Woman film, a solid Aquaman film. Guardians worked, Ant-Man worked because of the universe was established by its main characters. They're trying to bring, every time, and I said this earlier, every time a film didn't make what they thought it should make, they went back to Batman. I had argued the point on the Nerds on Culture show that Christian Bale's Batman should still be around. He was established through a wonderful trilogy. And it was noted that when they were going to put Batman in Batman versus Superman, that it would be an older, more grizzled, experienced Batman. Ben Affleck played that well, but it was right up Christian Bale's alley because he had already been Batman for 3 films, and they thought he was dead by the time the third film rolled around, and they were just introducing who may have become Robin. Christopher Nolan said that his Batman films didn't fit into the other comic book universe. It was like a one-off or whatever of the universe. But no, he was Batman. By putting boundaries on there, you smother the universe. Christian Bale said he wasn't even asked to come back, and he would have given it quite a consideration if he were. This is what he said. I talked about the marriage of Batman coming around in the Batman versus Superman. Like I said, they left him like he was dead. In Man of Steel, they had Clark roaming. He was a drifter for a while, searching the world for himself, trying to find out who he is. In that third Batman film, when Bane and his people had that nuclear bomb or atomic bomb, and Batman was going to save Gotham by flying the bomb out over the ocean, they could have tied the universes together of Batman and Superman by explaining in Batman versus Superman that Clark was the one that saved Batman. Just like he saved people on that oil rig. If it were explained, some mystery guy saved Batman's life, and Batman began to try to investigate, who the hell was that guy that saved me? And it makes Batman come back. You see, it's not hard. It's not difficult to have a creative mind, especially when you read these books and you follow these films and these stories. It's just like when I was watching Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. I'm going to share a tidbit with you guys about that. The movie was loaded with false information, but they came up with a very creative device in the plot that Bruce was driven because this demon was after him, and that when he was a little boy, he lost a sibling at childbirth, and his family was superstitious, so they felt like the demon took the little boy away. So all his life he was being chased by this demon. It's in the film. In the last part of the film, he's filming Enter the Dragon in the studios. And the demon, who's come to him at several points in his life to like so-called challenge him, appears a final time. And this final time, at the height of his fame, which in a way was not true, because Enter the Dragon is what gave him his stratospheric height of fame. But he's filming the movie Enter the Dragon in the mirrored room, and the demon comes to him again. I remarked after I saw that, check this out, people. Just like I talked about tying Batman and Superman together. After I saw the film, I said, you know what they did? They blew a tremendous opportunity when that demon came for Bruce, and Bruce blacked out for a second, and when he came to, he was in a cemetery. And the demon was there, and the demon started to fight with him. The demon showed him his own gravestone, which is it was a recreation of Bruce's actual gravestone. If you go and visit him in Seattle, Lakeview Cemetery, that's the same tombstone, like Bruce really is buried there. It was storming, it was rainy and wet, and the demon was defeating Bruce. And then Bruce's little son Brandon was calling for him. Dad, come, Dad, the demon is coming. And so the demon sees Brandon and starts going for Brandon. And Bruce has to fight for his son in that instance. The irony is, in real life, Brandon died. Bruce couldn't save him because Bruce was already dead. But in this film, Bruce Lee finished Enter the Dragon, but he didn't finish his film Game of Death, because he stopped making that film to film Enter the Dragon. Game of Death was being made in Bruce's time with friends and associates that he knew who were available to shoot footage with him when they could. He had an outline of his own story and everything, and he had a tight lid on it. But he stopped after filming 3 fight sequences. Dragging the Bruce Lee story, instead of Bruce being in a cemetery, when he blacked out and woke up, he woke up in that cemetery. He could have blacked out and woke up inside that pagoda in Korea, no longer dressed with the scratches on his face and in the black kung fu pants with the sash, filming Enter the Dragon, but now he's in his yellow tracksuit. And he can hear his son, Dad, he's coming. And he has to go up these stairs in a pagoda looking for his son Brandon. And on each level, because Bruce filmed 3 fight scenes, 3 levels he could go up the pagoda and face a version of the demon. It would have been an optimum opportunity to put Game of Death and Enter the Dragon together in the storytelling, because you're talking about his life. And Game of Death was incomplete. And so when he gets to that 3rd level, And Brandon is still crying out. He can defeat the demon the same way he did in the graveyard. He could break his neck with the nunchucks and wake up, and he's no longer in the pagoda, and he's back in the studio filming Enter the Dragon. And he leaves the studio to go home to his family, and his daughter and son are sitting on the floor playing with their train set. And they're like, "Dad, you're home," like they said in the movie. And they say it's storming outside, and he says, "I know, but I'm home now." That's how the film wound down. Now you tell me, people, I'm not a screenwriter. I'm not a brain surgeon or anything. But would that have been nicer than showing Lee fighting in the graveyard? Besides, Jason Scott Lee would have looked great in the yellow tracksuit like Bruce Lee wore. I thought he did a wonderful job of playing Bruce Lee in the film because he's an actor. He wasn't like those guys who imitate Bruce. He was portraying Bruce as an actor playing another person, which was great. But this is what I'm talking about, this kind of storytelling. This is what I'm saying. Warner Brothers DC have dropped the ball, man. And they have to do something very good on its next outing. I'm not talking about Blue Beetle. I'm not talking about Aquaman. And I'm not talking about the Flash films, which are yet to come next year. Those films are already scheduled to come out. They all could have come out this year with the exception of Blue Beetle because it's still filming. But Aquaman is done. And the Flash is done. But what comes behind that? They're going to have to knock something out of the park. And the best way to do that is to make Superman the priority. Bring Kal-El back. Bring Henry Cavill back. Stop messing around and do what's necessary. I'm going back to the chat for a quick second. Young Hollywood says every 3 years at this point, talking about when I was saying every time they do something and it doesn't go right, they go get a Batman film together. Ridiculous. Jamel says The Rock does that a lot with roles he plays. He low-key tries to take his character and separate them with their own movies, i.e. Scorpion King and the character he played in the Fast and Furious. Yeah, The Rock has to understand that in order to make a great film, someone else's input beside his own has to manifest. Young Hollywood is saying, you're right. Jamil says, yeah, Blue Beetle is too obscure of a character. They need to bring him in someone else's movie. Yes! Thank you. Jamil says Christian Bale Batman was the best one in a while. Christian Bale's Batman was good. He was very good. But I'm going to tell you, Ben Affleck's Batman in Batman vs. Superman is the kind of Batman I would like to see. That's a scary person. He looks like a vigilante. He looks like he could kill someone. That warehouse scene where he's battling those guys, and that guy who had stabbed him in his shoulder, he came back and got that guy and hurt him badly. You heard the screams. Young Hollywood says, what is the universe at this point? There is no base. Right. Jamil says, he really said that? The Dark Knight trilogy fits right in with 90s Batman. Young Hollywood says, damn good idea. Guess when I was talking about how to marry the Superman and Batman. Watcher is in the building. What's good with you, Watcher? He says, salute, Stormy. Good to see you out there, Watcher. John Pound says, salute, Stormy. Salute to you. Strong Armstrong says, salute, Stormy. Salute to you. Young Hollywood says, they didn't take advantage of a Marvel slow, of a slow Marvel year. Yeah, they didn't. They did not. Watcher says Cavill is a great Superman. Undoubtedly. John Pound says, I think Green Lantern John Jordan should be good. Watcher says the Darkseid cameo in Justice League that got released this year was really good, but they need to follow that up, especially with the Superman push. Listen, man, Darkseid, I loved his design. He looked great. He's similar to Thanos because in the comics, that's what they do. They steal one character from another. That's what they do. And Darkseid looked good with that flame stuff dripping off of him and everything and looking like metal, melting metal. That was awesome, man. One thing about Zack Snyder is he can be very creative with visuals and everything in his films. Bar none. He is definitely a consummate comic book film maker. He is. He just needs better writers for his films. Watcher says Ben Affleck's Batman was dark and a total badass. Absolutely. Stephen L. the Mac is out there saying, I'm just listening, OG. Okay, Stephen L. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all you guys that's coming in. I really do. No More Champagne in the building saying, salute, Stormy B, man. Do you think that they will bring back Black Adam because it's looking like it's up in the air? I don't think that they should do away with him, but he should not be a priority at this time. He will be good if Shazam and Superman can meet up and become acquainted, and you can bring Black Adam back like they did in the animation, and they have to square off against him because it's going to take both guys to whoop his butt. Y'all must have forgot is out there saying, salute, Stormy, salute to you. Stephen L. says, my favorite Batman was the one from Mr. Freeze. Okay. Young Hollywood says, Black Adam is done. Watcher says, I mean, how many Batmans are they going to wheel out next? Ridiculous. Right, and another Joker, too. Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, yeah, that was a great film. It was like an art house film. But we never really got to see the Joker in the Suicide Squad movie that was made with Ben Affleck's Batman and Will Smith and all of them, Deadshot, all of those guys. We didn't even get to see. They cut half of the Joker's performance out of the film. Just like they cut Batman versus Superman down 30 to 40 minutes. And Justice League was cut almost 2 hours. What the hell is Warner Brothers doing, bro? And they want to know why a film won't make $1 billion. It's because you guys are all over the place. People don't feel invested. They do like who they like in certain roles, but you don't give the audience enough of what they're looking for. Young Hollywood says we had 4 Jokers in 10 years. Right? You're absolutely on spot with that. Dankfather's in the building saying, salute OG, salute to you. He says, I like George Clooney too. Y'all must have forgot, says, Static Shock and Batman Beyond are extremely overdue. What about Deathstroke? Deathstroke. Danefather says they should have capitalized after the Snyder cut. right? But see, they were still under that old regime of executives. The ones who didn't want Henry Cavill back. They didn't want Zack Snyder back. They didn't even want the Zack Snyder film to get to the theaters. They didn't promote it or anything. They just released it on video. Little to no advertising. They put no money behind it whatsoever. But it proved far better than what Joss Whedon put together. And see, that was another example of what I'm talking about. When you let Joss Whedon, who came over from Marvel to help them put that Justice League together in a shorter version, cutting out the best cuts of what Snyder had shot, making too many jokes and all of that stuff. It's like people were like, what is this? When you saw the Snyder Justice League film, it was totally different. Had a different tone. Did you see how Steppenwolf looked in Zack Snyder's Justice League as opposed to how they made him look like the Stay Soft Puff guy, Doughboy in the Joss Whedon version? Crazy. But if they can't get Superman off the ground, man, they're never going to do anything. And Superman doesn't have to always be on Earth. He can fly through space. He can visit other galaxies and planets as long as the yellow sun is present. And we need to see him be Superman. See, I know what it is. Now that they can do the special effects that they can do, they figure like Superman is so OP, meaning overpowered, that even if you create scenarios for him, you wonder like, well, how is he supposed to exist? Well, of course you have kryptonite, which has been introduced. But you can bring in the red sun factors. You can bring in magic factors, because that's a weakness of Superman. That's right. You got Bizarro, you got Doomsday, you got Brainiac. There's so many things to do. So many. But you got to do something. Dankfather says, this all started with Green Lantern. And I think that they should have made a second part to the Green Lantern film. Yeah, you had a damn horrible villain in the first film, but you left us with that end credit scene that suggested that Sinestro had forged a yellow ring and he's going to start the Yellow Lantern Corps. It's like, dude, that's the complete team of villains that, you know, the Lanterns have to fight. And I believe that that's a galactic film. He don't have to be on Earth all the time. He could come in Earth if he's visiting some people and he happens to save some stuff but the intergalactic action, that's where Green Lantern is going to thrive. They spent all that money on special effects for the film, but gave you none of what you needed to see in the film for the special effects. Foolishness. Stephen L. is asking, they done making Hulk movies? The Hulk is not a completely licensed character for Marvel. They share them with the distribution rights and everything of Hulk and Namor with Universal Pictures. And so there's still some issues there with that. That's why they can't just make a solo Hulk or Namor film. And Universal don't want to sell the rights back to Marvel. Isn't that some bullshit? It's like, just sell the rights to that damn character back, man. It's like, you're not going to make a Hulk movie on your own. And if you did, it's not going to measure up to what Marvel does. Give them their damn character back, man, and stop playing around. You just being a person to hold things up. Huh? You standing with your foot in the damn door. My foot is there, so you can't close it. Fuck out of here. Dank Father's asking, OG, were you a fan of the Arrowverse? Hey man, the Green Arrow shows from Arrow on. I didn't start off watching Arrow. I came to Arrow after like the 3rd season, and I immediately went back and started watching the first 2 seasons. And I picked them all up on Blu-ray. I have the Arrow series on Blu-ray because I thought it was very well done. Arrow was awesome. It really was. Jamil's asking, X-Men messed up their movie continually with all that time travel and different timelines nonsense. And that they were doing that, Fox, because they couldn't use other Marvel characters. So they were using character storylines that other characters from Marvel was involved with and trying to make it without the characters that they needed. It's like stupid stuff, man. This is why I don't understand these companies that can only do limited stuff. Marvel has grown now to be the big brother. Huh? And Fox fell apart, and Universal ain't doing crap, and Sony needs Marvel with Spider-Man. So it's like, why not work with Marvel and stop being an ass? It don't make sense to me. Kane, the bad guy in the building, says they use that OP excuse as the excuse for never making a good Superman video game. It's just laziness. Absolutely. Storytelling. I just gave a great, story account of how they could have kept Batman alive from Christopher Nolan's film, The Dark Knight Rises, and tie it in with Henry Cavill's Man of Steel. Clark rescues him. It's one of those situations where he was on his journey of discovery of himself, and he came across, because didn't they say that Gotham was just across the river or whatever from Metropolis? So when Batman flew that bomb out over there, Clark could have been just on the scene in Metropolis. The news was covering what was happening because they were showing it on the news, right? They were saying that Batman has the bomb and he's going out over the river and this and that. And he went out over that water and the thing exploded. Well, Clark could have caught wind of it on the news and they say it's a nuclear bomb or whatever. And Clark could have flew over there, saved Batman, let the bomb blow up or whatever because he's got super speed. And the people thought Batman was dead anyway, right? They made a statue and everything. And then, you know, Alfred sees him over in London or whatever, having tea with that lady in Paris or whatever. So it's like he could have escaped the thing. But later on, when Clark becomes Superman and he fights Zod and everything, he could see that on the TV over in Paris or wherever he's at. And he's like, this the hero. And he comes back to America. He got a private jet, don't he? Bruce Wayne. He can do whatever he freaking want, right? So he comes back and he sees that these guys are fighting and destroying the city and everything. And Bruce Wayne is like, we got to do something about this guy. And that's when he talks to his Alfred and he's saying, hey, if there's a 99% chance that this guy is turned bad on us, we can't take that risk. We got to do something. You're right, Watcher. Lazy writing. I'm sitting here mapping it out for all of you, how they could have done this. And I'm just talking off the top of my dome. Talking off the top of my dome. Dankfather says, DC is treating us like boxing does. Left my ass off. You're right, man. You're 1,000% right on that. Watcher says, wow, Clark rescues him. That's a good idea, Stormy. He goes to fly there and gets him out before the bomb goes off. Nice storyline. And it comes back in Batman versus Superman. See, this is what I was talking about, bro. That's all I was talking about. Kane the bad guy says, I don't know about magic being a weakness of Superman. Didn't know until I watched the 90s cartoon. It's a genius way of introducing a new obstacle to Superman. Yes. Young Hollywood said, this is way better than what we got. Yeah, Young Hollywood. Listen, I said these things. It's funny because being on YouTube now and having a channel. But I said these things when these movies happened, bro. I gave the Bruce Lee, Dragon the Bruce Lee story. That what I explained about how they could have better done that. And I talked about Batman versus Superman, introducing Christian Bale's Batman, bringing him back, because that would have been the anchor, just like Robert Downey Jr. was. Robert Downey Jr. was the anchor for the Marvel Universe. He had his trilogy of films. He was Iron Man before there was Cap and Thor and all of that. Well, Christian Bale was Batman before Henry Cavill. So it would have been great to grandfather him in under those auspices and continue the storytelling. It's so, man, and now they're going to blow it all up again. Now we have to be forced to observe whatever they're going to tell us next. And you still got all this other stuff in your head. It's not good. Dankfather says, that's a fact, Stormy, because they teased Batman versus Superman in I Am Legend. That came out in 2007, so they knew. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Watcher says, another thing is too many cameos and end credits that don't get followed up or aren't needed in there in the first place. Man, you are speaking to the choir, Watcher. Absolutely. I am so pissed off at that Green Lantern end credit, because Sinestro, Mark Strong would have been a great Sinestro. To see him with the yellow ring and to see Hal have to come back and battle against another Lantern who is a former mentor, that's a hell of a story right there. And you might have Sinestro kill Kilowog or something like that. There you go. Man. I don't know, man. I just, to talk about these things, guys, it's why I wanted to do this live stream. It's kind of like me airing it out, airing out what I had to think and say about these things. But I'm sure if you guys follow the movies like I do, you feel the same way. I'm just like so disappointed, man. It's like I'm pissed off that Marvel didn't let Hulk have his get back against Thanos. In the comics, Thanos is scared to death of the Hulk because he knows that the Hulk has unlimited power and strength. He gets angrier, he gets stronger. Hulk once stamped in the comics, he stomped his foot and put a crack in the world, in the earth. They had Thanos beat him up, and Hulk never returned. And when he did return, he was this Professor Hulk, Smart Hulk. Who the hell is that dude? Some geeky dude. A chump. All they had to do was have Betty be a part of what Thanos is doing, and he killed Betty, and Hulks out and becomes that super strong Hulk that whoops Thanos' ass. And Thanos' people have to come and save him and take him away. Like Darkseid's people came and saved him and took him away. I mean, not Darkseid, Steppenwolf came and took him away, and he had to come back at another time. But they could have had Hulk get his get back right then. Lazy writing. The Russos didn't know what to do with Hulk, so they made him Professor Hulk. Even if you go back to Superman 2, when Superman had his powers stripped away from him, and he and Lois left the Arctic to come back to the city, and they stopped off in that diner outside the city, and Clark went into the restroom before they eat, and the trucker comes in and he's trying to hit on Lois, and he sits down next to Lois, and he's like, hey baby, whatever, and Lois was like, that seat is taken. He was like, yes it is now. And Clark comes out of the bathroom and he's like, excuse me sir, you're sitting in my seat. And the guy is like, your seat's in there, Four Eyes. And then they start talking and jabbering at each other, and Clark says, sir, excuse me, somebody ought to teach you some manners. And the dude tells Clark, well, let me know when he comes in. So Clark is like, sir, do you want to step outside? And he's like, sure, I'll step outside. And they was like, don't do it, man, don't do it. And he beat Clark up in the restaurant, man, whooped Clark's ass. And Lois was like, oh, Clark, he was all beat up and stuff. He was like, my blood. Because Superman never bled before, so he's like, my blood. And she's like, Clark, let's get out of here. You're not Superman. He was like, I know, Lois, I just wish he was here, And so he got beat up real bad. But check it out, though. That was a funny scene in the movie because they just showed the humanity of Clark. And Clark was still a man, but he wasn't Superman. You know what I mean? He got his butt whooped. But when he got his powers back, he went back to that diner looking for that trucker. Because I guess the trucker go there often, right? And trucker sitting in there eating, hey, give me another plate of this garbage. And Clark walks in and says, gee, I never seen garbage eat garbage before. And he looked, and Clark said, excuse me, sir, you sitting in my favorite seat. And he was like, well, come get it, Four Eyes. And Clark comes over there, and the dude tried to fight Clark. and he punches him, he hurts his hand and stuff, and Clark puts him on the stool and spins it around at super speed and sends him flying through the glass and stuff. But it was great. He got his get back. He didn't kill the dude, but he embarrassed and humiliated the guy, the same thing he did to him. That's what Hulk was supposed to do, come back and embarrass and humiliate Thanos. They didn't do it. Russo's, shame on you for that. Because you know your heroes are supposed to get their get back. The heroes are supposed to be the winners, not the bad guys. You freaking idiots. Watcher says World Breaker Hulk or some upgrade versus Thanos would have been good. I just laid it out for you, Watcher. I said all he had to do, you know, we didn't see Betty since the Incredible Hulk. Betty could have been roaming the streets, and Thanos, when he's killing people and stuff, kills Betty. That would bring Hulk back. That would bring Hulk back. Kane the Bad Guy says they've got a half a century worth of good comic book material, but struggle to put it on film. They're not looking at. This is how you know these writers and filmmakers, they're not studying. At least with Marvel, Kevin Feige gives them tons of books to read. And you could take elements. If you've seen behind the scenes in the Marvel Studios, they have a conference room where they take elements of the story, they write stuff down, they put it on a bulletin board. These are the things that we want to see in the films. We're taking these sequences out of various aspects of the books, and then we're going to put it together and make it a cohesive story. This is what they do. At DC, I guess they just got guys sitting down writing stuff, and what do you think about this? Superman flies over the Taco Bell. Huh? But what the hell? Young Hollywood says they did Hulk so wrong, and he's the easiest to do. Young Hollywood also says that's why I'm in superhero fatigue. I like talking about it, but I can't watch. They mess up too much. That's why I watch certain films regularly, because they give me what I want from these films. Like, I'll tell you guys, The Incredible Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel films, even though it wasn't near the best. But it's a great comic book film, like Black Adam. When Black Adam comes out on home video, Blu-ray, I'm going to watch the hell out of that, because I like the action in there. And I like the fact that the Black Adam was killing people. I liked it. I ain't saying it was right. I'm just saying it was entertaining. Huh? You got an anti-hero that comes along and is killing people. It's like, yeah, ain't that what Ben Affleck's Batman was doing in Batman vs. Superman? Yeah, it was entertaining. Huh? That's why you need guys like Captain America, and you need guys like Clark Kent Superman. You got your good guys, but you got to have some badass bad guys for the good guys to balance things out. Steve Rogers ain't gonna hurt nobody. I can do this all day. Huh? And man, Chris Evans played the hell out of that character, didn't he? If he never made a good movie again in his life, I liked his Steve Rogers. He was just something else, man. He played the hell out of that character. Watcher says, man, Reeve Superman films are gold. Yeah, they are. Marvel totally punked out Hulk. In the comic, Hulk kills Thanos brutally. There you go. Yeah, Dank Father, the Hulk from 2008. when he was fighting the Abomination, and Abomination took that bone and stuck it in Hulk's chest and made Hulk start bleeding, and he was threatening the Hulk with Betty's death. He was like, you watch her die, and he stabbed the Hulk. Man, listen, Hulk got mad when he threatened Betty, and Hulk was like, Hulk smash, and he grabbed that chain and put it around Abomination's neck. He was gonna kill him, and then he ripped that other bone off of Abomination and stabbed him with it. He stabbed him right back. See, that's the hero get back that I'm talking about. They put it on film so you can see the hero getting his get back. If your hero can't get his get back, what the hell? He ain't the hero, man. He just another victim. When in Thor Ragnarok, when what's her name? What's her name? That Thor's sister. I can't think of her name right now. But when she fucked up one of his eyes, he should have took one of her eyes. Huh? Yeah. That's how you do it. That's how you put the story together. You know, Hollywood says Disney only making it worse, Stormy. Yeah, they are. Because you know why? They don't need those characters. They don't need to have a several series of characters on Disney Plus, man. That's not necessary. And I think them trying to put all those damn mini-series and TV series on Disney Plus just to have content out there, no. The first 3 phases made it fine without TV shows. The only TV show that they had was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., huh? And then Netflix later came along with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Punisher or whatever. But those were low street level type characters anyway. But Disney is coming out with all this different stuff, man. And it's just watering down the product. That's exactly what's happening. It's watering down the product. You know, I don't, and I'm gonna tell you guys, I'm gonna say this straight up. She-Hulk sucks, huh? What the hell is that crap? Don't be, man. She-Hulk sucks. Sucks. And I couldn't even get into Moon Knight because there was something about that show that as I was trying to follow it, it kept throwing me off. I don't know, man. It's just... And I missed a certain episode of She-Hulk because I did watch the crap. I ain't gonna lie and say I didn't watch it. But I watched it, and then I guess they had her on there twerking or something, and that was the episode that I missed. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. Cause I don't need to see no damn She-Hulk twerking. Well, Watcher, that's why Marvel hired Harrison Ford to be the new General Ross. Because we are getting Red Hulk. We are getting Red Hulk. So, I don't know. Guys, I wanted to ask you before I get up out of here, how you like my little studio setup for the Nerds on Culture videos that I'm doing like here? Because we got the other studio where I just appear with Drew Titan, but this one here is for me to just kind of, you know, when I got solo rants like I got tonight with DC and Warner Brothers, man. Yeah. But it's just, you know, I told you guys, I'm always trying to create content for you, man, and everything. And everybody is not a comic fan, everybody, and that's okay, you know. But for those of you who decided to come in tonight and, you know, check me out for this live stream, I really appreciate you because, you know, that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Going. Try to do the best I can and bring some quality stuff to you guys. Yeah. So that's what's up, you know. But I'm gonna get ready to get out of here, fellas, because I gotta get up early and check these fights out. The zone card starts early in the morning, so gotta be ready for that. But a lot of work goes into what I do. You know, I just want you guys to know that I'm out here always trying to do my best, man. Trying to do my best. And just know, you know, I have you guys in mind for what I do, you know. But yeah, we're gonna get on up out of here. Peace to you guys. If you didn't smash the like button on your way in, please smash it on your way out. And we'll see you again with these Stormybman Reacts Nerds on Culture videos. So peace to all of you guys. Be safe out there. We'll catch you guys on the next one.